Pearl Davis is being accused of content theft by Sydney Watson. And it seems to me like a lot of the people on the right have been clashing with each other as of late. I don't know why, but they have been clashing. First, we have Ben Shapiro against Candace Owens against Steven Crowder, and now we have Pearl Davis against Sydney Watson. I guess the people on the right aren't exactly right about their ideologies. I'm just kidding. No. But anyway, Sydney Watson made a post, and in that post, she talks about the issue. So the first part of this post, Sydney talks about how it's unacceptable for Pearl to rip Sydney's video and then cut it up into shorts. And then the next half of the post, Sydney talks about how Pearl's rhetoric is absolutely disgusting and that she'll be damned if she ever allows Pearl to use Sydney's face to push such revolting ideas, which is pretty insane. A lot more insane than Myron backing up Fresh with that whole baby mama issue. No, seriously speaking though, I always thought that these two, Sydney and Pearl, were united, but it seems to me that Sydney unveiled how she truly feels about Pearl's rhetoric, and now we have that answer. And of course, because Pearl's being under attack by Sydney, Pearl ended up coming out with her own video.
So I get out of practice today and I see an essay. Now, there's an essay where she is accusing me of stealing her content. What happened was she had a really good video on the Ruby Rose case. One of my live streams, I reacted to not the full video, but a little bit of it. And this is called a reaction video. Now, this is covered under fair use in YouTube. This is confusing to me for a couple of reasons. Why am I getting an essay when you have my number? You could just text me. I mean, we've DM'd before. You could DM me and tell me to take it down if you're upset.
My question is, why didn't Sydney communicate with her via telephone, DM, or maybe even email? You know, because we already know how the online mob is. As soon as you say something, everybody already has this opinion about you. Without any evidence, they already immediately assume the worst of you. For instance, we have Mr. Reality here, where he supposedly speaks the truth. He kind of breaks down the truth of what Pearl was attempting to do. So his post reads, Sydney, why did you publicly expose me for dishonesty? You could have just told me in private so no one would know what kind of person I am. Why didn't you extend me that courtesy after I ripped off your work and passed it off as my own? I would like to remind and mention to viewers that Pearl isn't exactly liked online. She is seen as misogynistic and is very divisive. And I can't blame people when they view her a certain way and rely on heuristics, which heuristics are mental shortcuts that rely a lot on available information to pass judgment rather than doing a deep dive into that particular figure. No one's gonna take their time to develop a proper opinion about Pearl when she has done said actions in the past. Another ex-user posts, take accountability, woman, you've hit the wall. Am I doing your shtick right? And judging by the rest of the comments, sugarcoating is definitely not on the to-do list for a lot of these commentators. Now, going back to my question, why didn't Sydney just contact her? Apparently, Laura Chen answers this question by talking about how Pearl Davis, anytime they try to get in contact with her, she ends up ghosting them. And apparently Laura Chen has attempted to contact her other times, as well as Pearl replying back. However, it just ends there. There never was any collaboration between the two, and it just completely ends there. And now Laura Chen is coming out talking about how she's very difficult to reach. And you know who else had trouble attempting to get in contact with Pearl? Sydney herself. Apparently there was supposed to be a debate between the two of them. However, it never occurred because, well, communication was very choppy. And apparently, according to Sydney, Pearl ended up leaving for a trip without even notifying Sydney that this was going to occur. And the reason why this was even brought up was because somebody in the comments ended up asking Sydney, are you willing to debate Pearl? Sydney responds with, yeah, we already tried to set it up, but she backed out, citing an imaginary trip she never took. And then obviously in that same video, Pearl is like, the fuck do you mean we tried to debate and I took an imaginary trip? As a matter of fact, I'll let her go ahead and answer.
She also said that she was trying to debate me and I went on a trip. What is she? Why do women just make things up? Sydney, you've never texted me. You've never messaged me. You have my number. I've heard nothing about a debate from you. Now, maybe there was a secret debate where people were trying to, I don't know. Maybe they talked to someone in my team. I don't know. But I'm like looking at her messages. I'm like, what is she talking about?
No, Pearl, it's because you're actually thinking about a real trip. Sydney said that you went to an imaginary trip, which means that you ended up going to that One Nation. What is it called? Oh yeah, imagination. Seriously speaking though, I think that Pearl should take this as an intervention, because that team of hers is absolutely horrible when it comes to communicating with other content creators. And having a team that consistently fails to communicate with other content creators can definitely damper the content creator's reputation. Obviously now she is being seen as somebody who is unreliable and probably won't answer your emails if you attempt to get in contact with her. So I think that Pearl should definitely do something about that team of hers. Unless of course that team is intentionally sabotaging her reputation, because, well, I mean, at one point Pearl did have pretty predatory contracts.
I said, so working 4 to 5 days a week for 7 hours is essentially a day job. What is my guaranteed fee at the end of the month? What is the salary? And she looks at me and she says, we do not do guarantees and we do not do salary. She does percentages. So I said, okay, cool. Well, what's the percentage? She said, Sarah, you're the high end, so you will get 70-30. So I said, fine, okay, let me listen. 70% goes to me and 30% goes to you. Now she looked at me and she said, no, 70% goes to me, Pearl, and 30% goes to me, Sarah Garvey.
So I can only imagine that this could potentially be one of those cases where the team is intentionally sabotaging her reputation. I do want to go ahead and remind people that that is still an allegation, and everything that I'm saying is just speculation. I really don't know what's going on, okay? I mean, for all we know, it is potentially just an oopsie from her team. There's probably nothing nefarious going on behind the scenes.
Sydney, if you want to talk about this, your issue with fair use, if you want to debate fair use, we can. You might not like it, but it's YouTube rules. And could you stop being crazy? This is insane. This is crazy people behavior. Maybe you guys can explain this influencer world, because I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. And freaking act like an adult. If you have an issue, I mean, I think it's reasonable to confront someone about it before running to the internet.
Ultimately, I do reasonably agree with Pearl. I think that it's best just to keep it out of the internet spotlight. But of course, this is Pearl, and apparently she's already developed a small reputation of being ill communicative with other content creators. So perhaps calling Pearl probably wasn't the best answer, and so Sydney just kind of took it upon her own hands. But who is to say that she probably didn't give Pearl a call? Maybe she did, and well, she got sent straight to voicemail, and that's kind of what pissed her off. It made her go online and just rant about how, you know, her Pearl's rhetoric is disgusting and all of that, although she probably already felt like that. But I mean, who knows, man? Only they know. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it here. You guys want to go ahead and follow me on my Twitter, go ahead. I'm gonna leave the link down below. Follow that. That's all I have for you guys, and yeah, hopefully you guys learned something today.